I'm Nuzlocking every mainline Pokemon game in chronological order, again. After the task of taking down each game without a single repeat Pokemon, I asked, how can I up the ante? And the answer was obvious. Shiny Pokemon only. That's right, 40 games, no repeats, all shinies. Can I pull it off? Well, let's see if I can keep it going with the second set of Generation 3 games, Pokemon FireRed and LeafGreen. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video if you're excited for Season 2 of the franchise Nuzlocke, and comment down below telling me how absolutely insane I am for deciding to do this again. Rules are in the description, and if you want to see me continue this series, I'm streaming this entire challenge right here on YouTube, so make sure to hit that notification bell and select all so you don't miss it. But enough banter, let's just jump right in. So initially in FireRed and LeafGreen, I was actually confused as to how I was going to tackle it. Initially, I tried learning how to do RNG manipulations before beginning the challenge, was stumped since I didn't get the whole spreadsheet, flow timer, seed assistant combo that's required, so we're starting off with running 4 copies of the game so that we can hunt our first shiny to begin the run with, that being Charmander. I've already used Bulbasaur and Squirtle in red and blue respectively, so it's just going ham at this point to see if I can just randomly nail it. But while I run myself again and again at the starter, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, Factor. As some of you may know, I've been on a keto diet since 2022 and I've lost nearly 100 pounds. Sticking to my routine and hitting my wellness goals takes a lot of discipline, but Factor has been a game changer for me. With Factor, I get delicious, ready-to-eat meals delivered to my door, which are chef-craft, dietitian approved, and ready within just 2 minutes. No more stress about meal prepping or shopping for ingredients. They've got options for every lifestyle, including keto, calorie smart, vegan, and protein plus. My top 3 has to be their sun-dried tomato chicken, black pepper and sage pork chop, and the herb cream cheese salmon. I'm a sucker for a good white or red meat alongside a well-seasoned vegetable, and all 3 of these meals have exactly that with variety, while aligning perfectly with my desired diet. Plus, they even have 60+ add-ons like smoothies, snacks, and breakfast options. I've tried some of the add-ons, such as their keto shakes, and they're super high quality. I was always tired of trying different things and getting a chalky taste that tends to come with keto-friendly options like that, but Factor really knows how to make their food and drinks. And trust me, it's way better and more convenient than overpriced takeout. If you want to support the channel and get some amazing food in the process, click my link in the description or scan the QR code on screen to get 50% off your first Factor box and 20% off your next month of orders. And by using my link, you're also helping me continue creating the content you love. Factor really takes the guesswork out of clean eating, so what are you waiting for? Click the link or scan the QR code now and you'll be eating like kings. Huge thanks once again to Factor for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to trying to find that shiny Charmander. Well, shoot, I thought this encounter was going to give me enough time to talk about Factor, but it seriously only took 124 encounters to find a shiny Charmander. No manips, just plain soft resetting. But considering we still have quite the number of encounters to grab before Brock, that good luck is likely not going to stay for long. FireRed and LeafGreen are essentially draining the remainder of my early game encounters for Kanto outside of exactly the new ones in Let's Go with Oddish and Bellsprout respectively, so Route 1 is my first target, with either Pidgey or Rattata. I don't exactly mind which one I get here, though I would prefer Rattata at this point, and it seems like my good luck strikes again since I managed to hit a shiny Rattata after only 2,551 encounters. I'm sure RNG manips would still be faster, but holy smokes, I am actually getting lucky. Guess something's gotta balance out with all of the damage ranges I miss in these videos. I went ahead and named it Piss, because that sure as hell is the color of Rattata in this game when it's shiny, and because one of my chatters wanted me to nickname it that. If you're interested in nicknaming a Pokemon for this series, definitely make sure to tune into the stream since there's still quite a few Pokemon on the spreadsheet that don't have nicknames yet. Also, if you can't make it to the streams or you're just not into live stream content, you could also check out the spreadsheet in the description with all of the names currently available for any Pokemon that you want, and if you want one of them, just leave a super thanks in the comments below. Usually the incentive I do on stream is a $25 super chat, so if you want to do the same thing with the super thanks, that's completely fine. It always feels scummy talking about that stuff to me though. I just want you guys to enjoy the content, but it does help considering the fact that I do need to pay editors, I need to pay the guy that makes the layouts that you're seeing on screen, and the thumbnails, especially the ones that are illustrated, because dear God, $60 a thumbnail is a lot. But I'm getting off track. The only other encounter I'm looking for pre-Brock is on Route 22. Mostly just Mankey, though if I get Spearow, I can pivot to the plan of using both early game bugs for the team, then use the Mankey strat for LeafGreen, though that quickly gets interrupted by my first duplicate Rattata, coming after 5,804 encounters. Still below odds, I have to give him that, so I captured it, threw it in the box for safekeeping, and continued due to Dupe's Claws. After all, I already got Rattata on Route 1, so I can roll for a new encounter. That new one happens to be exactly Mankey after another 8,176 encounters. You know what? That's technically below odds as well. I mean, it's barely under because it's 1 in 8,192, but it's 16 before I would have gotten mad, so I'll take it. Also, God, would you look at that hideous green? At least it's useful enough for kicking Brock's bum. With all 3 desired encounters, though, it's time for some balanced EV training. I'm looking to do attack and speed on both Rattata and Mankey, while Charmander is going to be getting special attack, though we can't access that yet because the first Pokemon that gives those is Abra on Route 24. Despite its flying typing, though, we'll have access to fire moves like Flamethrower once we hit Celadon City, plus, eventually we're going to be able to get Dragon Claw in Victory Road, so there's going to be plenty of selection of decent special moves at the eventual Charizard's disposal. My only gripe, though, is that we ended up rolling Hidden Power Flying with a measly power of 30. Yeah, I'm not getting excited for Gen 1 Wing Attack, thank you. But hey, Fly, Steel Wing, Brick Break, and Earthquake are nothing to shake a stick at. So by splitting the EVs for speed 3 ways, getting 5 EXP each from the level 2 Pidgeys, while Mankey and Rattata split attack 2 ways from level 2 Mankeys, getting 10 EXP each, I'm able to get a pretty good head start on stat buffs. And since there's only one required trainer between me and Brock, let's just take him on. He's leading Geodude, and I'm going for Charmander purely due to Geodude not having any Rock-type moves, and Charmander just so happens to have access to Metal Claw. Honestly, a really sick buff that they gave to people who wanted to use Charmander and not get stonewalled by Mr. Brick Shithouse here. The first manages to bring him slightly above half, though he reciprocates with an equally powerful critical tackle. Not good for me, but hey, as long as we hit 2 more Metal Claws, we're safe to swap on Onix. The second connects, bringing him into the red and raising my attack as he goes for Defense Curl, offsetting it just in case we see a potion, but we don't as the third and final claw KOs, getting a second attack boost. And I'm sure you can already tell how past me's eyes are starting to turn into little dollar signs since I love setup sweeps. I was like, oh, surely +2 Metal Claw is enough to KO Onix in like 2 hits? And I'm not even right about that, considering it does slightly less than half. Then Onix just immediately goes for Rock Tomb. Of course it was going to do that. Why would I ever consider just staying in? This was very stupid. I don't know why I did this. But I just saw +2 and I was like, woo! So of course, Charmander goes down. Thankfully, I can just bring in Mankey to finish off Onix with a low kick to end the fight, and I mean, I guess it's not that big of a deal. Now I just get to save Charmander for LeafGreen. Sure, I can't use any attacks in battle with it, but that doesn't prevent me from switch training it in the future to evolve it and then use Charmeleon and Charizard. From here, though, I've got to figure out a new plan of encounters. I've already used the Nidoran female line, but I'm pretty sure I can take advantage of the Nidoran male line over on Route 3, especially with the ground typing in the face of Lieutenant Surge. So it's time to go hunting, but I'm quickly realizing something. I'm noticing a very distinct lack of Nidoran males in comparison to the likes of Spearow and Jigglypuff, so I was getting a little antsy on stream. Hence what happens next. I went ahead and reopened the tutorials for RNG manipulation in FireRed and LeafGreen, hopped over to my DS for capture capabilities, and went to work. In short, this is a bit harder than Ruby and Sapphire RNG due to not needing just 1, but 2 frame-perfect inputs to nail a shiny Pokemon, and that's both because you need to hit a seed frame and a target advance frame for the encounter. The first is determined on Soft Reset, in which you watch the entire title sequence play out, then press and hold A until hitting the File Select screen. Now, the seeds have been recorded on spreadsheets by various RNG manipulation communities, so that isn't the hard part. There's a few little ways to influence the seed, such as changing your sound and control options, but that little bit of influence is enough to let me see a lot more potential encounters through the likes of the Pokefinder Seed Assistant. With this, I'm able to look through specific seeds that we can hit on the title screen, then select which one would be the best for a specific shiny run. I'm not looking for anything to be like ungodly amounts of time for 5 or 6 max IVs, but something with decent defensive capabilities and halfway decent speed IV, as well as an appropriate attack IV, either special or physical. So I'm not looking for 31s, but if I could snag a few 20s across the board, I'd be pretty happy. Once I'm done selecting a Pokemon, by using again that spreadsheet from earlier that displays all seeds for each frame of the game, I can then put that into Flow Timer along with the target advance frame, aka the frame that the Pokemon will appear on when I use Sweet Scent. Where am I getting Sweet Scent? By moving my Surskit from Ruby and Sapphire. Call it the cosmic connection of correct coloration. And yeah, it's a lot simpler than you would imagine. I just thought it was very intimidating when I tried to learn it by myself. However, after about 2 hours of trial and error and trying to wrap my head around it, once I did, I kinda nailed it straight away, only taking about 30 minutes from my first serious attempt to find the shiny male Nidoran here on Route 3. Yeah! Yeah! Woo! That's what I'm talking about, baby! And now that I'm armed with this knowledge, you better know this is going to be a much more smooth ride. Heck, why not grab another one? Paris is available on the first basement floor of Mount Moon and has that nice grass typing for resistance to Misty's water moves, while also having the bug typing with Leech Life for super effective damage on Starmie along with recovery. And then add on top status in the form of Sunspore. It's kind of like a triple whammy, and I'd never have the opportunity to use it elsewhere since Paris kinda sucks otherwise. It takes me about 20 minutes from finding the frame I want to go for to encountering the shiny, and while it does put up a little bit of a fight, Paris is in my possession and ready to fill out the team. However, I did want to make sure to EV train before heading out the other side of Mount Moon. After all, I can't return until after I beat Misty, so I may as well get the attack and speed that I wanted on Paris, while also doing a mixed attacker set on Nidoran. Of course, I'm going to get a lot of use out of the likes of Earthquake, Brick Break, and Thrash, but with the coverage that things like Surf, Thunderbolt, Flamethrower, and Ice Beam provide, it's just too good to ignore. So, with that sorted away, Mankey learning Mega Punch on Route 4, I'm good to head into Cerulean City, immediately fighting my rival. It's a fair 4-on-4 match, leading Pidgeotto as I go with Rattata, straight away outspeeding and hitting Hyper Fang for around 75%, while also flinching, meaning I could just take it out with a quick attack and take no damage in the process. Second is his own Rattata being feinted by Hyper Fang, while 2 does the job on Squirtle, albeit with the second missing the first time, letting him take Rattata down to half HP, but considering his last Pokemon is just Abra with no attacking moves, his fate is sealed by the power of Hyper Fang, ending the fight single-handedly. Sweet, can't really get better than that, not to mention we're about to have Rattata evolve into Raticate before Misty. I am very appreciative of the power boost. Heck, even Nidoran evolves into Nidorino here, and due to learning Thrash at level 22 as a Nidoking, but with a cap of 21, I decided I'd just use the Moonstone right before fighting her to evolve into Nidoking, edging so that I could take out Staryu, level up and learn Thrash for Starmie to hopefully execute a 2-hit KO, all while unfortunately being weak to water now due to the ground typing being added. Sure enough though, the plan starts without a hitch, though I do receive some pushback due to Horn Attack missing the KO on Staryu by a literal single point of HP, but considering this does both A, lead to Staryu using Harden, and B, get Misty to waste a Super Potion since Staryu falls to 2 Horn Attacks afterwards, I'm pretty happy headed into Starmie with Thrash now in tow. It's employed straight away, doing half damage as Water Pulse brings Nidoking down below half HP, confusing, which I expected because my luck sucks, so I made sure to have a held Person Berry to repel this. However, again, my luck sucks, and turns out Thrash was a range, missing it and getting KO'd by a second Water Pulse. Guess I shouldn't have gone with the mixed attacker option. If I'd just gone full throttle into a physical attacker, Starmie would have gone down, and yeah, I could have used a calculator that plays the game for me, but I don't want to do that since I want to do the battling part. I'll use a program to expedite grinding since I don't want to do that part. Regardless, Raticate's able to enter, finish it off with Quick Attack to seal the deal and win me the fight, but now I'm out of a ground type that I was going to use for Lieutenant Surge. That sucks. Luckily, there's a backup plan. However, the only trainer I need to worry about before executing said backup plan is my rival once again, leading Pidgeotto as I go with the newly evolved Raticate to tear apart his team once again with Hyper Fang. A single one takes out Pidgeotto, doing the same to his own Raticate, and then leads to Kadabra, who falls to 1 Hyper Fang. Last out is Wartortle, who falls to the Hyper Fang Quick Attack combo, but it only ends up using a non-damaging move, giving me a damageless fight. Good, because I definitely needed that following the loss of my overpowered Nidoking. But the backup plan for Lieutenant Surge is using the TM for Dig from the Rocket Grunt in Cerulean City. Not on Nidoking, but on the newly evolved Parasect, an attacking powerhouse that resists electric, while also having enough firepower in the physical attack stat to take out Surge's Voltorb following a Sonic Boom, Pikachu through a double team, and Raichu through 2 double teams, one-shotting each and every single one of them to earn me the Thunder Badge. Whew, well, at least that worked out, but now I have to figure out yet another encounter pivot for continued success in this run. That ends up coming in the form of Voltorb on Route 10, and would you believe I've gotten so good at RNG manipulations that I managed to nail Voltorb in just 3 encounters. Yeah, I'm very proud of myself after that, considering it was only my 3rd Kanto remake manip, though I know it's a bit of a fluke with how the next few encounters end up going. 1 rock tunnel later though, and I'm able to emerge into Lavender Town, gearing up for my next manipulation on Route 8 in the form of Growlithe. This ends up taking longer than expected. I'm not sure why. I think it's because I hit one of those encounters that just so happens to be a frame that's impossible to hit. For some reason those exist. I don't know why. I tested on an emulator after doing this run to see, and yeah, even utilizing Lua scripting and guaranteeing an input at the same time every time, some shiny frames you just can't straight up hit. Likely due to the way that the RNG progresses 60 times a second, but the game actually runs at 59.7 frames a second. It's weird. I don't exactly know fully how it works, but I'd rather blame the game instead being complicated than me being bad, because surely that's not the case, right? Well, it does take an hour or so, but Growlithe ends up in the hands of Crispy Meatball, with only 1 more encounter needed to finally achieve the team of 6. And it's Eevee, and boy howdy, this one was a little more complicated than I initially thought. So with static Pokemon like gifts, starters, legendaries, etc., this uses a different method of encounters, one that I didn't know about at the time, so I kinda just shot in the dark aimlessly until I finally understood it. And it took 3 hours? Yeah, I'm sad to admit, but once I realized the correct delay to pick up Eevee, using a separate seed tool to convert the 8 character seeds that Pokefinder spits out using its generate function, and a whole bunch of other complicated shit. In short, I ended up getting my shiny Eevee, and you can just hear the relief and triumph rolled in my voice at the same time. Yeah! You know what's funny? I wasn't looking at the screen for either of those. I was watching the Mega Man and Bass playthrough, so looking at the screen was hurting me. Now then, Water and Fire Stones in hand, Vaporeon and Arcanine achieved, I'm pretty darn happy with the composition of this team. It's not what I expected to use, but it sure as hell does the job. And with some quick EV and experience math, complete with giving Vaporeon and Arcanine special attack and speed as their designations because a wall does not exist if you just simply punch all other walls so hard that they break. I mean, I think the fight against Erica, where I just used Flamethrower 3 times with Arcanine, goes to show that punching walls very hard works. In fact, it works so well that the rival inside of the Pokemon Tower falls very effectively. My newly evolved Electrode leads off against Pidgeotto, one-shotting both it and Growlithe with Thunderbolt leading to Execute. Oh, you resist electric. What makes you think that matters when Thunderbolt still one-shots? Kadabra and Wartortle follow suit, ending the fight in perfect fashion. And heck, why not? We can actually give Electrode the TM for Thief since Dark is a special typing. May as well get some coverage for the ground types that I'm not able to hit otherwise, but still die immediately to anything special related. Not that I need it since Vaporeon exists, but I will need to do some item collection later on, so we may as well have the option now. Speaking of Vaporeon, did you know that in terms of male Vaporeon and other trainers battling it, that Vaporeon is the most compatible for slapping the hell out of them in a short fashion? Well, of course I knew. That's why Onix and Rhyhorn went down with 1 Water Pulse each, and Kangaskhan to 2 Ice Beams. Thanks for the Silph Scope, Giovanni. Now I can grab the Pokéflute, get those Snorlaxes out of the way, and head towards my best move for Vaporeon in Surf. The thrashing continues inside of Silph Company, where my team of level 40 friends slaps the rival around like a cat would a line of string, one-shotting Pidgeot with Electrode's Thunderbolt, doing the same to Growlithe with a critical hit, swapping into Arcanine on Execute's Mist Stun Spore so I can one-shot it with Flamethrower, then swapping into Parasect on Blastoise to resist the oncoming Water Gun to put it to sleep with Spore, opening the door for Electrode to come in and KO with 2 Thunderbolts, doing the same to his last Pokemon in Alakazam except with Thief to finish the fight. And what would you know? Giovanni's ready for his 4 PM Vaporeon pegging session, thanks to 5 Surfs taking out Nidorino, Nidoqueen, Kangaskhan and 2 of them, and Rhyhorn to win me the fight. Jeez, this team of slapdashed, funny little guys is just working together greatly. I mean, look at Sabrina. Raticate's able to solo the entire team with Shadow Balls to the face of Kadabra and Mr. Mime, return to Venomoth and another Shadow Ball to Alakazam to win, then going to Koga by spamming Return, KOing Coughing in 1, Muck with 2 following an Acid Armor, please keep that the away from my Vaporeon, 1 to the second Coughing, and finally 2 to Wheezing following a Smokescreen to earn my 6th gym badge. I may as well keep the steamroll train on the tracks here, 1 Pokemon Lantern later, and Blaine's also ready for his Vaporeon thrashing, albeit more excitedly than Giovanni. That's a little creepy. Either way, 4 Surfs does it, as does 5 on Giovanni's final team, and that's 8 gym badges, baby. We just blew through the second half of the game like it was nothing. Now, I suppose I do need to go to the Sevi Islands to take care of the first required questline here, considering I am doing the Elite Four Round 2 in both games, but that's when disaster strikes. Despite Raticate being at level 50, a level 39 Weezing out of nowhere just self-destructs on him without any warning, KOing instantly. Well, that sucks. I invested my Return and Shadow Ball TMs into him. Guess there goes my easy out to Agatha. That's fine though, I think I could just take on the league with 5 members. Admittedly, I could fill in the slot with something like Dodrio. It's a great normal and flying type that doesn't have too many games to have the spotlight, but if I can get away with not having to do so and save it for one of the Let's Go games, I'd be pretty happy, so why not? At least it doesn't matter for the rival, considering Vaporeon solos the first 2/3 of the team, using Ice Beam to take out both Pidgeot and Execute in one shot, with Surf doing the same to take out Growlithe and Rhyhorn. Oddly enough, though, even the special Bite is enough to get the job done on Alakazam in one hit, leaving just Blastoise. Bite does just enough chip damage and doesn't flinch, letting Blastoise set up Rain Dance to give my Hydro Pump enough of a boost to KO, though I think the crit mattered in this instance. Hilarious, though, that the last fight before the Elite Four was done completely damageless. I guess see you in a bit, fool. One victory road later, and we do have a little bit of prep to do. First up, of course, new TMs to finish off our movesets, buying healing items, and then going around the region so that I could steal held items with Thief. We've got the Magnet from Magneton in the Power Plant, Black Belt from the trainers in the Fighting Dojo in Saffron City, the Sharp Beak from Wild Fearow, the Nevermelt Ice from Dugong in the Seafoam Islands because for some reason it's otherwise only available on 4 Island in the post-game. I don't know why they didn't just put it in the Seafoam Islands, but whatever. And then the 3 starter types with the Miracle Seed, Mystic Water, and Charcoal from the Game Corner. Last but not least, though, I do have to go around the region and capture 60 random Pokemon for the Dex so that I can access the post-game following the Elite Four and Champion, including hilariously finding Scyther in the Safari Zone and capturing it in a single ball. I swear, my luck in the Safari Zone is insane. Somebody needs to get me in on Safari Week so I could get a shiny Chansey and somehow capture it on my first ball. Oh yeah, and I guess while we're on the catching spree, I may as well grab the Amulet Coin, Item Finder, and EXP Share, using the second of those to grab the 2 hidden leftovers from the Snorlax spots. That should be it though, so with my team at level 60, I'm ready for the league. First up, Loreline with Dugong, so I'm going with Electrode, of course, to zap that, Cloyster, and Slowbro down with 1 Thunderbolt apiece, leading to Lapras, who goes down to a critical hit. Well then, thank you for the free win, just gonna swap over to Arcanine, survive through the lovely Kiss and Attract, and finally land a Flamethrower to end the fight. Not a problem whatsoever. Now, Bruno's up next, and sure enough, Primeape is the perfect out of this fight, considering we have both Earthquake and Aerial Ace, but why not go with Vaporeon? Surf takes out Onix well enough, and we've got enough HP to just use neutral Surfs on the fighting types, using them to plow through Hitmonchan with 3 of them after a full restore, healing back to full with leftovers, then 2 to take out Hitmonlee before Machamp comes out 4th. Only managing to hit a Rock Tomb and going down to 2 Surfs after the Protect Shuffle gives me enough HP to survive a potential cross-chop in my future with the leftovers, which does come. It does take Vaporeon down to a quarter of its HP, but Surf takes it out, leaving just the second Onix. However, since I'm -2 speed, thanks to those Rock Tombs, I am taking no chances. I'm swapping to Primeape to eat an Earthquake and blast it with a super effective Stab Brick Break to close it out. Almost a solo fight, though I did probably take an unnecessary risk with Vaporeon with the Cross Chop having a high crit rate, but alas, I survived and I don't care. Probably should have stuck with just Primeape, but what's done is done. Now for Agatha, I made sure to teach Electrode Thunder just so I had the biggest power plays to take anything she tosses out, albeit with 70% accuracy, which I should have used on the first Gengar since of course it's a range to KO with Thunderbolt, forcing me to get poisoned by Toxic. I suppose that's okay though, since now she wastes a full restore and I KO it with 2 more Thunderbolts following that. It does kinda incapacitate Electrode for the rest of the fight, is what I would say if she wasn't insane throwing out Golbat second and letting me get another free KO off a Thunderbolt. Third out is Arbok, and now we really do need to swap. Primeape's the best out here thanks to Earthquake, but with Sludge Bomb doing half and poisoning on entry, I'm not really keen to stay in just in case I don't KO. Again, could just bust out a Calculator, but that's like asking if you could shoot me in the head. So instead, I swap into Arcanine, taking a weak Sludge Bomb before firing off Fire Blast to KO, doing the same to the second Gengar, then finally Flamethrower to Haunter to finish the fight. Little worse for wear on that one, but we still had Vaporeon in the back in case it got even more hairy and out of hand. Last up though, Lance, and sure enough, Vaporeon's deadly for this fight, though I'm a bit of an idiot because I started with Vaporeon and he has a lead Gyarados. Probably should have just gone with Electrode here, since this means I have to wail on him with the likes of Bite and Ice Beam until it just goes down, and he unfortunately manages to take over half of Vaporeon's HP before I manage to slay the beast. Fortunately, at this point, though, Vaporeon still outspeeds everything, so I just Ice Beam down Dragonair number 2, Dragonite, and then Surf down Aerodactyl following an Ancient Power, which wouldn't have even KO'd with a critical hit at that HP, that's insane, giving me the second to last win needed. Well then, let's take on that poser rival over there. I mean, the only change to his team since the last fight that we did damageless was legitimately, what, Rhydon? More like Rhydon this you moron. He leads with Pidgeot, so I just KO it with Thunderbolt from Electrode, then swap into Vaporeon on his Rhydon to take it out. Third out is Executor, so I swap over into Arcanine, unfortunately being put to sleep, but you know what? Egg Bomb isn't really doing too much. Even with 2 of them, I'm able to just wake up and KO it with Flamethrower, leading to Blastoise. I don't have the most effective out here since Electrode can't really take much in terms of damage, but I sure can resist those attacks with Parasect, swapping in and using Spore to put it to sleep following a Rain Dance, then swapping out so that I could get that 100% accuracy on Thunder, KOing in one shot and leaving his 5th Pokemon, Alakazam, to the same grave. All that remains is his own Arcanine, and with another turn of Rain still in effect, it's all but over. Sure, Extreme Speed connects, but Thunder manages to paralyze him and bring him all the way down to 25% HP, giving Electrode more than enough room to blast out one final Thunderbolt, ending his reign and giving me the Kanto Championship. But it's not quite the whole run. After all, what's the fun of a Nuzlocke if we don't take on the hardest battles of the game? Now for the post-game, I'd like to have more to say outside of just the League rematches, but unfortunately there's just not much, and it's probably why most people leave these out of their videos. Sure, there's the Ruby and Sapphire quest, but the rocket admins in the warehouse on 5 Island are just not worth talking about, since they're whipping boys and girls here for free cash and experience, no challenge whatsoever. Regardless though, I did have one thing I wanted to try doing before heading into the League, and that's manipping for a shiny legendary. My target? Articuno. I figured a flying type would help the team, plus the dedicated ice type stab attacks would be nice to have on backup just in case Vaporeon goes down or something, but this was probably 8 hours into that day's stream, and I was tired. So I tried over and over again for about 2.5 hours, and I was just having an off day with my timing. So much so that I was fed up, gave up, and headed straight back into the League with my team of 5. With the League rematches, that's a bit of a gamble, but I think I'll do well enough. Though we may as well consider it a team of 4 since Parasect just has not been good since around the mid-game. Lorelai's back with Dugong as her lead, and sure enough, Electrode is still able to get the job done, using Thunderbolt to KO as Piloswine enters second. A new threat to be sure, but it's dispatched all the same, as Vaporeon's able to come out, take an Earthquake, and manage to recover for 2 turns with leftovers and Protect before dishing out Surf to one-shot and get a 3rd turn of recovery, then a 4th in the face of Lapras's Thunder, leading to Electrode to come out to potentially resist the next attempt, but it misses, letting me KO with my own in one shot. 4th is Cloyster, going down to Thunderbolt, and it leaves just Jinx. Learning from my last fight, I figured I'd just stay in and go for Thunderbolt since I'm expecting Lovely Kiss, and sure enough that's correct. Eating it after the Thunderbolt both brings her into healing range and paralyzes, letting me switch into Arcanine for free on the full restore turn and KO with a Flamethrower to send her packing. Second up's Bruno, evolving his Onix into Steelix for his lead as Vaporeon is once again my choice, taking it out with a single Surf and leading to Hitmonlee. Surf is once again the choice, eating a Mega Kick, but it's not nearly enough, especially with recovery from leftovers, so much so thanks to the full restore turn that I'm able to get back to nearly full in preparation for Hitmonchan. But the next one connects for actually pretty heavy damage after a Surf, but it's not enough to bring Vaporeon down below half, so I stay in and hit an Ice Beam on the follow-up, KOing and leading to Machamp. I'm still in here with Vaporeon following a Protect just to dish out more Surfs, and thanks to a missed Cross Chop, I'm more than safe to finish this fight out single-handedly, letting Vaporeon clean his clock with another Surf, leaving just the second Steelix to fall to the same. Still don't know why they didn't give him his Hitmontop from the Gen 2 games for this fight to swap out for one of those Steelixes, but hey, it made the fight easier for me. Can't complain about that at least. Third on the docket is Agatha, and she's once again the most threatening of the league for me. Starting off with Gengar as I lead with Arcanine to hopefully snag a quick KO with the super effective Bite Flinching. And actually it does end up working here. Also wasting a full restore of hers before KOing and leading to Arpok's second, eating a Fire Blast and Flamethrower combo through a double team to KO. Third out is Crobat, dodging a Fire Blast and hitting a Confuse Ray on the crackback. But hey, Arcanine hasn't taken any damage yet, so why start now? At this point, it's safer to swap into Vaporeon, eat a Sludge Bomb, heal with leftovers for 2 turns with Protect, then Ice Beam him to the curb, but Of course, it's another range. Well, with Confuse Ray connecting, I suppose I need to swap back into Arcanine, though that's a moronic idea once I realize I'm being hit with a critical Sludge Bomb that also poisons, incapacitating Arcanine for the rest of the fight. At least the Flamethrower finishes off the Fast Flyer without any additional damage, leading to the second Gengar. At level 70, this thing's a behemoth, but I can swap into Electrode, tank a Psychic, set up Light Screen to hopefully get enough time here to take it out with Thunderbolt, and sure enough, it's able to protect from Psychic, but it doesn't exactly block Shadow Ball now, does it? But it's not enough. 13 HP still in the tank, and that's not empty, so Thunderbolt is deployed twice following the full restore, KOing the second Gengar and leaving just Mischievous. I figured I'm gonna need to put this to sleep with Parasect, throwing him out on the last turn of Light Screen, then using Spore to bring in Vaporeon. Why? Well, because this Spectre has Thunderbolt. Admittedly, though, it doesn't exactly have the power necessary to do much damage after it wakes up, especially through leftovers. So, 2 bites puts her down for good, leaving just 2 more fights before we get to LeafGreen. Lance once again is in my face, and considering he's got a Kingdra, we're in for a hell of a fight. He's once again leading Gyarados, so this time, I'm the smart person who goes for Electrode, taking him out straight away with a Thunderbolt as Aerodactyl comes out second, going down to the same. Third is Dragonite, so I swap into Parasect as a sacrificial lamb, but it's all a ploy. I'm expecting Earthquake here on Electrode, so that swap gets into the bug type that resists, but also baits the quad-effective Flamethrower, making the perfect pivot out into Vaporeon so that Ice Beam can wipe this dragon off the face of the planet, leading to the second Dragonite who falls to the same fate, leaving just Kingdra. Bite should help at least flinch this thing to death, but after the first Dragon Dance, that's no longer an option. Though hilariously, he ends up going for Hydro Pump, being met with Water Absorb and no damage as Bite gets a crit, bringing him into healing range so we can start this exchange from the top. Bite's still the way to go here, getting him to half damage with 2 of them as he keeps going for Dragon Dances, and it's starting to get really scary, especially since he used a second full restore. But sure enough, at +5 in red HP, a single Hyper Beam connects, wiping Vaporeon from existence, and leaving me with only 4 team members going into the champion, since Electrode's able to come in on the recovery turn and KO with Thunderbolt. Phew, that's a rough one to drop. I really could have used that Articuno right about now. Alas, we've got a detriment to overcome, and I think I can pull it off. The champion's rocking 2 new Pokemon, replacing his lead Pidgeot with a Heracross as I'm going for Primeape. After all, what's this thing scared of? That's right, Flying-type moves, and it plows right through the HP of Heracross, KOing in one shot and putting me to a 5-4 detriment as Tyranitar enters second. Why would you do that in the face of the fighting type? It's quad weak to fighting when it goes down to Brick Break. What were you thinking here? At least it leads to a fair fight at this point as Arcanine enters third, eating an Earthquake, but nailing a critical overheat that KOs Primeape. Well, then I'm back to the detriment of 4-3. Primeape's done the job, though, so I don't really care. But I'm able to bring in Electrode to finish it off after Extreme Speed connects, Thunderbolting to KO and leading to Blastoise. Who I'm a bit afraid of. I need to go for Thunderbolt here since I can't risk missing Thunder in the Sandstorm. But would you look at that? It's a range! Woohoo! And of course, because it's a range, Hydro Pump wipes out Electrode, leaving me with only 2 team members left. But thanks to that Sandstorm setup by Tyranitar, the same can be said about my rival, with it taking out Blastoise in between turns. 5th out is Alakazam as I go into Parasect, putting it to sleep on a Calm Mind turn with Spore before going for Double Edge, getting a crit and one-shotting as Executor is all that remains. And wouldn't you know, we have Sludge Bomb for such the occasion. Thank you, 5 Island. Only 2 problems though. First, he connects with Sleep Powder right after the first one connects, and he's got a full restore in the back ready to keep Executor healthy. I'm not really keen on bringing Arcanine in until the last possible moment, so I stay in despite the sleep and thankfully wake up on the second turn, dishing out another Sludge Bomb in the face of a Psychic, bringing Parasect to just 14 HP and with Sandstorm damage, it survives on just 2 HP, and like I said earlier, if it's not empty, then I'm still going. The leftovers keeps me alive through the full restore and another turn of Sandstorm, item locking him as 2 Sludge Bombs are loaded into the chamber, fired off, and are more than enough to KO Executor, vindicating Parasect from being just a placeholder that fell off, but in fact the Pokemon that finished off the run in strong fashion. Phew, that was a little bit stressful. I really should have added a 16 member to prevent those 3 untimely deaths, but I made it through. Let's hope LeafGreen doesn't put up even more resistance, otherwise I think I'm in for a little bit of a world of hurt. Going straight into LeafGreen, once again I'm going for Charmander for my starter. Can't use it until it evolves, but we may as well grab it since it's a free encounter and the Fire Flying typing isn't all that terrible. It takes about an hour from boot up to finally hitting the double frame perfect input, but I do get it. The same, though, cannot be said about my second encounter in Pidgey. I mean, God, it might have taken me, what, 5 hours to try timing this one? By the way, I did check this while scripting this video, and it was one of those impossible frames that I was unaware existed at the time, so I basically bashed my head into the wall for no reason. But I grabbed another one, complete with a funny MS Paint illustration prepared by my good friend Caleb.exe, who you should go check out, by the way. He's part of the group Alestral's channel called the Alestronauts, alongside Swolax, Distant Coder, and Bean Soldier TV, and as an aside, I really have been enjoying my time with the game. I know A-Drive's been getting a lot of flack from Pokemon fans who are mad that he's not doing as much Pokemon content because of Alestrals, but like, man made his own card game, and it's the perfect blend of Pokemon TCG, Yu-Gi-Oh!, and proper game balance and communication than any other card game I've ever played. They actually just announced their Kickstarter for Alestral's Clash, an online client so people can play the game from the comfort of their own home, so I'm looking forward to it, but I'm getting a little too off track. With Pidgey in tow, my third encounter is the last one available on Route 22 that I haven't used yet, Spearow. This one, again, ends up being a super frustrating time. So much so that I ended up drafting in resident RNG manipulation master Papa Hefe along with his trusty bingo board to attempt the manipulation. I don't know why my mojo was thrown off so much in comparison to some of the FireRed manips, but this one took about 3 hours as well, and we just kept hitting really close to it. If you take a look at the bingo board we used, I hit 1 frame early for the seed but on frame for the encounter 4 times. The correct frame for the seed, but 1 early for the encounter twice, the same but 1 frame late on the encounter twice. I just don't know why I couldn't string it together. But eventually, after enough banter and jokes, I finally nailed it, adding Shiny Spearow to the team, and hey, since I had Papa Hefe along, I decided to send him over my save file so he could load it up on his own LeafGreen cartridge. And you can just tell the expertise of him compared to myself at the time. He only hit a single encounter on the bingo board before actually hitting the target shiny. But that comes with experience. Experience I only gained after doing the Professor Oaks challenge that I uploaded about a week ago, most of which wasn't recorded until after this stream. But he ended up helping out with Weedle for fun, capturing it after maybe 45 minutes, if that. But 4 encounters still isn't enough for Brock. I need Caterpie from the Viridian Forest. I think the practice with Hefe, though, really solidified my skills at Manips by this point, since I was able to head into the forest, nailing it on my first try. Straight up, I do not know how I did it without calibrating. Maybe the game was just taking pity on me after the amount of time spent on the first 3 for LeafGreen, but I will 100% take it. Now, why do we need 5 Pokemon for Brock? Well, technically 4 because Charmander can't be used, but because literally everything is weak to rock and I need to build up an unstoppable pummeling machine with the power of stat buffs and debuffs. But first, EV training. In short, Butterfree's getting full speed with the goal of splitting HP and special attack, about 100 points for HP and 156 in special attack just for some added bulk, but since I can't access those special attack EVs until before Misty, I figured why not, doesn't have to be completely attack focused. Pidgey's attack and speed, Charmander once again is going special, especially since this one is modest nature, though I did put a little bit of investment into physical attacks, just to offset the nature since there's at least some reason to put Stab Fly on here. Maybe Earthquake, it all depends on how my team shakes out in the end. Then of course Spearow with attack and speed, also want to point out somehow I ended up with a shiny frame that got me a max 31 IV in both attack and special defense, 30 in HP, and 26 in speed with a 0 in special attack. You really can't ask for much more than that other than a high defense IV, which I only got 9, but I don't really care. Then lastly, Beedrill's in on attack and speed, so I'm essentially able to max out my EVs with how many encounters I have by this point. Seeing as splitting EXP 5 ways is gonna only give each Pokemon 3 EXP per level 2 Pidgey KO'd, but they all still get 1 speed EV. But I'm getting into the nitty-gritty of numbers, and I know that's what people are not here for, so let's get into Brock. My plan here is to Sand Attack Geodude down to -6, which is done all while only getting hit with 1 tackle, though it happens when he's already at -6 since 5 defense curls were set up beforehand. Then swap into Butterfree to use Poison Powder followed by 6 Hardens to both hedge against a one-shot Rock Tomb from Onix, but to also drain Brock's Potion with the Poison Powder to make sure it's not used on Onix. This ends up going really well, though my plan of -6 accuracy is the part that starts falling apart. Somehow, Geodude lands 6 tackles, including a crit that brings Butterfree down to half HP before Onix comes in. Gonna have to rely on Sleep Powder here to ensure that Rock Tomb doesn't come through, and sure enough I do land it on the first turn, keeping him asleep long enough to KO with 3 confusions to win the fight with no losses. That's actually shocking. I 100% expected a slaughter of my team by the time I made it out of this fight, but again, I will 100% take moving forward without any casualties, since the more encounters I have, the better off I will be for each situation. Mount Moon goes off without a hitch, getting me into Cerulean City for my first real rival fight, and I've got to get through him to get to those Abras for special attack EVs, and with my newly evolved Pidgeotto, things go rather smoothly. We start off with a mirror, though my Pidgeotto is far superior with the power of Gust, nearly one-shotting, following up with a quick attack to KO while only taking light damage from its own quick attack. Rattata falls to a single critical Gust, though Squirtle is a bit of a tougher nut to crack. He ends up going for Withdraw on the first turn, leading to Gust being a 4-shot, so I'm forced to sit here and tank a bunch of water guns, so many that Pidgeotto gets down to around 40% HP, but upon KO, it's for nothing as Abra has his last Pokemon, and with no attacking moves to call its own, I'm clear to grab that last knockout to finish this. Routes 24 and 25 are easy enough to clear through, getting the SS ticket, but before I start getting those special attack EVs, I decided to go for my next encounter, that being Sandshrew on Route 4. It's exclusive to LeafGreen, so I figured why not. I'll take the version exclusive out to Lieutenant Surge later, while saving Diglett for one of the Let's Go games, managing to nail it on my 6th attempt. But again, I won't be using it until I get past Misty, so I can go back to Route 1 using Cut and EV Train on all the lowest level Pokemon possible, of course in attack and speed. Nothing else really to train Sandslash in unless you want defense. Screw that, I'm punching down walls, not trying to build them. And heck, since I still have enough room EXP-wise, why not head down onto Route 11 to the right of Vermilion City for another encounter? I want to Psychic type this go around, and Drowsy sounds like the perfect target. Abra's in a ton of games, so I'd rather save it for later, so here's where Hypno gets to shine. It takes me a dozen attempts to nail it, but once I do, it's a clean capture, filling out the rest of the team along with my newly evolved Charmeleon. However, I'm leaving Charmeleon in the box for Misty since there's no situation that I even remotely want to bring that guy in. Not a single bit. So it's Pidgeotto, the newly evolved Fearow, Beedrill, Butterfree, and Drowsy should be good enough. In fact, all I need is Fearow thanks to the TM of Secret Power from Route 25, since it's enough to one-shot Staryu, then two-shot Starmie, paralyzing on the first turn while taking a Water Pulse for less than half, KOing on the crackback to earn the Cascade badge. Sometimes I wonder if I'm over-planning for these fights. Just hit them hard and they'll fall at some point, and that point better be on the first darn attack. Alright, all we've got before Surge is one rival fight, so I'm going in with the same team I used for Misty plus Charmeleon, but once again Fearow carries with Secret Power, two-shotting his lead Pidgeotto after paralyzing him and getting hit with a light gust. Raticate's a one-shot, Kadabra's a one-shot, and oh no! Wartortle's a two-shot and he's used Withdraw! There's a distinct... I can't really even have drama when +1 defense does nothing, since it's still a two-shot. He's gone, I'm getting cut now. And of course that means we can trek back through Diglett Cave to get back to Route 1, EV Train Sandshrew theoretically, since I'm not actually going back there, then head on back to fight Lieutenant Surge with the newly evolved Sandslash, complete with the TM for Dig. It does the job well enough for Voltorb, one-shotting without taking damage, though Pikachu does manage a pot shot with Quick Attack before going down with no static trigger. I could have gone for a Cherry Berry just in case it did happen so that Raichu wouldn't be an issue, but I opted for a Citrus Berry instead, which I'm very happy I did because Raichu decided to make itself an issue by using a ton of double teams. So many that I run out of power points for Dig without landing a single one of the 8 that I had remaining. Well, at least I have Slash, two-shotting on the crackback and not getting paralyzed on the first, though the second still did trigger static. Guess I'm happy enough to be getting out unscathed, but geez, those quick attacks did a lot more damage than I was hoping for. Without that Citrus Berry, Sandslash would have only had 3 HP left. The rest of the areas and gyms should theoretically be smooth sailing though, and sure enough they are. Route 9, 10, Rock Tunnel, Route 8, and the Rocket Hideout in Cerulean City, Sans Giovanni, all get taken down, mostly due to the fact that I need money. See, I want Flamethrower for Charmeleon before the fight against Erica, but I'm missing quite a bit in the money department. But with how many encounters I have, that means I have a ton of room EXP-wise to just take out a ton of these optional trainers I skipped early, getting everyone caught up to the level cap while... still missing out on the money for Flamethrower. I'm about 2,000 coins short, so I go into the gym with Fly on Pidgeotto. It should be good enough, plus I've got Fearow in the back to peck the heck out of any of these grassy foes. She leads off with Victory Bell, I'm leading of course Pidgeotto straight away going for Fly, and what do you know, it's a ranged KO. She thankfully misses with Stun Spore, so I'm safe to keep going, while also burning through her Hyper Potion before nailing a Quick Attack to ensure I don't get screwed over by ranges again, taking her down. Second is Tangela, a much lower level in comparison, so it's an easy one-shot with Fly, leaving just Vileplume. And what do you know, it's a range to KO again that I miss! Though this time Stun Spore connects, and the game just loves having me paralyzed for not 1, not 2, but 3 turns in a row as I try snagging the KO with Quick Attack. I mean, geez, clearly she was fighting for her life since that third acid also got a crit, bringing Pidgeotto down to just 12 HP. Guess I do need to peck with Fearow. Thankfully we outspeed after taking an acid on the switch in, shoring up that last KO to earn me the Rainbow Badge. 4 down, 4 and 2 leagues to go. Now that our level cap has skyrocketed to level 43, I'm all set to take on Giovanni in the Rocket Hideout, slapping him around with Sand Slash using a Dig and Slash combo on both Onix and Rhyhorn, KOing both with minimal damage on my end as Kangaskhan enters last. It's a bit of a weenie thanks to my high defense, but it's also got a high defense stat of its own, so 3 digs are required, but are enough to take that KO and win the fight. And why not a double whammy with the rival fight in Pokemon Tower? Gotta open up the rest of the region with the Pokeflute after all. He's leading Pidgeotto, I'm going with Sand Slash since, fun fact, there's a move tutor in the Rock Tunnel that teaches Rock Slide, a perfect move to obliterate those flying types immune to Dig, with Wartortle coming out on the follow-up. I'm forced to swap into Fearow, but that's totally fine since Secret Power is still a powerhouse, taking him down without much damage on my side, though with Growlithe out third, I'm not quite happy with the Intimidate, so I go into Pidgeotto using Fly after getting hit with Ember, and it's a range. Holy smokes, Pidgeotto, get it together! How have you whiffed 3 easy KOs this close together? Whatever, Quick Attack, it's gone. But at least Pidgeotto gets some success here by finishing out the fight with Fly on Execute and Quick Attack on Kadabra, one-shotting both and earning me the win, but my lord, Pidgeotto cannot evolve fast enough. But from here, it's time to plow through all of those optional trainers. However, disaster strikes because of that. I'm trying to keep everybody on the same level, and due to that OCD-esque obsession of mine, Butterfree ends up taking the brunt of a critical hit from an errant Spearow, KOing Butterfree and giving me my first death of LeafGreen. Well, that's rough. At least it's an early game bug, it's not that much of a problem. After all, with my newly evolved Charizard, everything's gonna be perfect. Oh, never mind, there goes Pidgeotto. Deserved, honestly. You were useless. You could not hit a range to save your life, you stupid idiot. Fearow's the better normal and flying type. Try to prove me wrong. With everyone at level 41 though, I'm good for the next rival fight, starting Pidgeot against Sand Slash, which once again one-shots with Rock Slide. Second out is Blastoise, and boy, I do not have a good out to this guy in the party. At least Beedrill can get some good damage in, but to my surprise, since he doesn't have a better Water-type move than Water Gun, Beedrill's able to hang in there and, in fact, KO with a few Twin Needles. Sure, he's only got 9 HP remaining, but the fact that Beedrill managed to pull down a fully evolved starter is a hell of a feat. Heck, I'm able to stay in and finish off Execute with a single Twin Needle, and probably could have done the same to Alakazam, but I forgot that his only attacking move in this fight is Future Sight. Not that it matters though, since Fearow can just be brought in for free and land a Secret Power to grab the KO, leaving just Growlithe to go down to a Secret Power Drill Peck combo after the Intimidate, winning the fight even through Future Sight damage. All that remains here is Giovanni, with Hypno being able to do some great work now that it's evolved, Psychicking all but Rhyhorn to KO Nidorino, Nidoqueen, and Kangaskhan, who's at least easy to out with a Rock Slide and Dig combo from Sand Slash to earn me the win. Speaking of those two, they're the perfect tandem to take on Koga, but Hypno's still more than enough since Psychic just plows through Coughing, Muck, Coughing number 2, and Wheezing to earn me a quick win. May as well take on Sabrina then, after all, Fearow's now rocking Return, so it's able to plow through Kadabra and Mr. Mime with 1 each, then Drill Peck for Venomoth because super effective equals haha, and then leaving just Alakazam to fall to 1 more Return to end the fight. You know what would improve things for these gym leaders though? Maybe if they were energized with some gamer subs, their focus would be on point and become actually challenging, but only if they use code ChaoticMeat at checkout for 10% off their order, link in the description. So with Blaine coming up, I think I need a water type. My choice? Lapras in the Sylph Company building, which takes only 3 resets to hit the shiny frame for. Not bad. Plus with access to Ice Beam, Surf, Thunderbolt, and Psychic, this is a perfect versatile special attacker. Despite the neutrality to fire though, Lapras is still more than enough to plow through Blaine, surfing Growlithe, Ponyta, and Rapidash after outspeeding them to KO, leaving just Arcanine to outspeed, hit a Fire Blast for less than half, then KO with a single Surf to end the fight. I'm even able to do the same to Giovanni with Surf to Rhyhorn, Rhyhorn number 2, Nidoqueen, Nidoking following a Light Earthquake, and Dugtrio following yet another Light Earthquake. Thank you, high defense and HP stats! Only 11 more important fights lie between me and the last game of Generation 3, but of course I have to deal with the rigmarole of doing the first Set of the Islands quest, thieving for items, catching 60 Pokemon for the National Dex, just all the stuff we did in FireRed. But with preparations at the ready, I'm good to go. The last non-champion rival fight is a pushover, no surprise there, as Sandslash KOs his lead Pidgey out with Rock Slide, which forces out Blastoise, and is perfect for me now that I can bring in Lapras with Water Absorb and start plowing away with Thunderbolt. Wait a second though, since the rival is actually making the correct play. After setting up Rain Dance with Blastoise, he swaps out for Rhyhorn for the immunity to Thunderbolt. Fair play? Answer, I have Surf. From here, it's academic. Ice Beam for Execute, Surf for Growlithe, and then no answer for Alakazam, so I swap into Hypno, chip it down with a Thief to finish it off with a second, then use Psychic on Blastoise's remaining HP to finish him off, earning me the win. And with that, I'm able to get through Victory Road with a full team of 6, ready to challenge the league. Lorelai's kicking off with Dugong, myself with Lapras, aptly nicknamed for this fight, and it's time to go to town with Thunderbolt. Nearly one-shotting Dugong in the face of Safeguard, full restore locking her, but leading to a hail setup before the second Thunderbolt can finish her off. That's fine though, I mean Lapras is part ice, I'm not taking damage, but that Cloyster that came out second sure is when Thunderbolt fells her in one shot. Third is Slowbro, getting pelted by Hail on entry as Thunderbolt manages to miss a range, but you know what? That's perfectly fine. Despite amnesia, the Hail finishes it off, leading to Jinx. Well, I know I'm probably gonna eat a Lovely Kiss here, so I swap into Beedrill, but she misses. Well, that's kinda perfect, since one Twin Needle is enough to grab the KO, leaving just Lapras. May as well try laying in with Twin Needle, and holy smokes, we got the poison on the first shot, taking a Surf for about a third before committing to the mirror match. I'm in a good position, but she's able to equalize status-wise by paralyzing my Lapras with Body Slam, making it a little bit harder to hit Thunderbolt, especially when Confused Ray follows it up, but I do manage to make it through, with Lapras not hitting himself and dishing out one final Thunderbolt to clean it up, earning me the win. Now for Bruno, I don't know what I actually want to do here. I got a few options, but Charizard eats dirt to Onix, Fearow eats dirt to Onix, so I may as well use Hypno, after all. Lapras also eats dirt to all of the typings here, because Rock and Fighting are super effective against Ice, despite the fact that I have Psychic. But it seems like I'm overthinking things once again, since Psychic on Hypno ends up just tearing through everybody's health bars, one-shotting the first Onix, Hitmonchan, Hitmonlee, the second Onix, and Machamp all with one each to end the fight with no damage on my end. Agatha's third, and I really don't have a Shadow Ball user for this fight, do I? Well, I can at least throw out my strongest friend in Lapras, using Psychic to take advantage of that poison typing through her lead Gengar's double team, one-shotting the first one, that's kinda surprising, then using Ice Beam on the follow-up Golbat after an Air Cutter for minimal damage to take her out as well. Third out is Arbok, outspeeding with Screech but eating a Psychic for her troubles, bringing her into the red but not quite what I would consider a range, so I just use it again in the face of a full restore, before a Sludge Bomb quickly wipes away half of Lapras' HP because we're at -2, leaving me 2 KO on the next turn as Gengar number 2 comes in. I'm expecting Hypnosis here, so I may as well go for Sandslash in case it's Shadow Ball for the good defense stat, but once I do see Hypnosis, I'm clear to go for Fearow for the Ghost immunity and no sleep in the face of Dream Eater. It's a good plan to start since the free switch is nice, but Drill Peck, oddly enough, doesn't get the job done on the frailly defensive Gengar. That's kind of shocking. And Hypnosis lands for the second time in a row. Well, that's unfortunate. Plus, with the Sludge Bomb on the Crackback doing enough to put Fearow in crit range, I'm just gonna go with Sandslash and hope to ride out the sleep. Sure enough, it works out in the face of a few Shadow Balls and hilariously a Nightmare on the last turn of sleep, inflicting no damage as Rock Slide takes her out, leaving just the Haunter to be eaten alive by 3 Rock Slides because of a full restore. And that was a lot easier than I expected though. I mean, come on, Agatha's usually the frustrating one that takes a lot of time, but that didn't feel like I was ever losing control of the fight. Nicely done. Last of the elite is Lance, and unsurprisingly, this is a Lapras all the way type of battle. Thunderbolt for Gyarados, Surf for Aerodactyl, then Ice Beam for the pair of Dragonairs and Dragonite to finish it up. Doesn't quite get easier than that. But I should probably mention something. Lapras is slow and getting outsped left and right during this whole ordeal. So much so that I have to take a risk on his last Pokemon in Dragonite. Do I stay in an attempt to take an Outrage with only 120 HP remaining? Or do I make it through with, say, Sandslash and super effective Rock Slide? Or do I use Beedrill as a sacrificial lamb to get some chip damage in before finishing it with Charizard's Dragon Claw? Well, I opt to stay in with Lapras, taking the Outrage, and not getting hit with a critical hit, surviving on 53 HP, and since that's not 0, we're able to blast out an Ice Beam that's quite effective for the KO, earning me the penultimate win of round 1 against the League. One more to go, and that's the rival, Poop. I have no idea why I like naming the rival Poo or Poop, other than I have no original jokes. Regardless, he leads Pidgeot, I'm leading Sandslash, going for the Rock Slide that felled this bird so many times before, but this time it fails, bringing him into the red as a Feather Dance is used, reducing my attack enough to where it's no longer even a 2-shot, so it kind of forces my hand here to swap out. I decide going for Lapras is best, eating an Aerial Ace and Stand attack before Ice Beam takes him down. Second out is Rhydon, and despite the -1 accuracy, Surf lands, getting a critical that absolutely did not matter, going into Executor third. I probably should swap out here, this time into Hypno so I can use the Insomnia ability to ignore Sleep Powder, then use Thunder Wave to hopefully stun Executor out long enough for my ultimate plan. Set up sweeping. See, Calm Mind was received from Sabrina, and while I didn't use it in FireRed, I had to use it somewhere in this video. Because of it, I'm able to get to +2, eating an Egg Bomb in the process before going for Thief, doing over half as a second Egg Bomb following a Paralysis turn brings Hypno to around half HP after leftovers. Though once I KO with another Thief, Arcanine comes out next, and I think I'm abandoning that plan because I am probably not surviving anything from this, especially Extreme Speed, so I go out into Sandslash to avoid certain doom with said Extreme Speed. That then puts me in the predicament of, oh god, I died of Flamethrower, so then I pivot over to Charizard before dishing out Earthquake. Two of them barely fails to slay Arcanine, with Charizard eating 2 extreme speeds that brings him low enough HP to where I'm forced to swap on the Full Restore turn, taking the free swap into Lapras to KO with Surf, but not before Flamethrower connects and burns Lapras. Well then, I am quickly running out of options here going into Alakazam, although with him only knowing Psychic as an attacking move of choice, maybe the setup sweep can be achieved after all. With Calm Mind, I can get up to +6 special defense and start healing more HP than he's able to dish out with Psychic, plus there's only 10 power points there, and Future Sight kinda sucks donkey balls. It takes a while, but once I'm out of power points for Calm Mind, I finally pivot to using Thief for super effective damage, getting back up to around 2/3 as the critical hit takes him out, leaving just Blastoise to eat a +6 Psychic for his troubles, winning me the fight and the championship, but not quite the run. We still have that round 2 to take care of, and what better way to deal with that than the ultimate life form, Mewtwo. Yeah, probably wasn't expecting this to pop up in this video. I mean, where else am I gonna use Mewtwo? Maybe Heart Gold and Soul Silver, but with the level cap of 72 for the league here in FireRed LeafGreen, I at least have the chance of EV training this from 70 to 72 and using it as an oh shit button. And after 6 failed attempts, lucky number 7 spawns the Green Behemoth, immediately being contained by the Master Ball to further my plans of doing haha funnies to the league. In fact, I don't even think it's going to be an oh shit button, I think it's just going to be an I win button since I decided to replace Beedrill, since it really didn't do anything in my first league series of battles. It did something, I should give it a little bit of credit, definitely reserves more than Pidgeotto with its lack of ability to hit a range. God, I hate him. But hold on, let's calm down for a second and clear the mind. What do we need to do to fully sweep the league with exclusively Mewtwo? Well, step 1 would have been keeping Calm Mind instead of putting it on Hypno, but I decided it would be funnier if I didn't. However, I can grab a few of the infinitely obtainable TMs from the Game Corner, those being like Shadow Ball, Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Flamethrower, all of these are interchangeable, which should help out with the type advantages while also keeping Psychic and Recover, while using the other 2 move slots as interchangeable pieces depending on the type matchups. With access to all that, though, we're able to use Mewtwo throughout the league, first equipping it with Thunderbolt and Flamethrower to counteract Lorelai's Dugong and Cloyster with the former, Piloswine and Jinx with the latter, and Lapras with a single Thunderbolt to close it out. I mean, I was kind of expecting that bulk to hold up through a Thunderbolt from a non-stab Pokemon, but it is Mewtwo. Should probably give it more credit. Don't need to swap moves for Bruno though, as Flamethrower takes care of both Steelixes in a row, then Stab Psychic rips and tears through Hitmonlee, Hitmonchan, and Machamp. From here, it's move replacing time, swapping out Flamethrower for Shadow Ball for Agatha exclusively for Misdreavus, as Psychic takes care of the other 4 poison types in Gengar, Crobat, Gengar number 2, and Arbok, though Misdreavus does come out second to last before Arbok, taking a Shadow Ball that misses a range. Are you f***ing kidding me? Even Mewtwo of all Pokemon is incapable of breaking my luck with ranges. That is just the most insulting thing I've ever seen in a video game. Unfortunately, Mewtwo isn't KO'd with a critical Shadow Ball for its insolence and failure. Instead, we see a full restored afterwards, and a failed second time to hit the range. You have to be joking. I hate it here. I hate ranges. I hate them. Why are they in existence? And I can even prove it's a range. Look. After the second full restore, the third time ends up being the charm, as Shadow Ball KOs from full. I'm not crazy. The game just absolutely hates me. It just wants to make me go insane, as if I'm not already going insane, trying to capture a bunch of shiny Pokemon for a series I've already done! Arbok goes down to Psychic, of course, leaving just Lance and the champion. One more switch on moves, though, is needed, replacing Shadow Ball with Ice Beam, and this is plenty enough to blast down Lance. Gyarados to Thunderbolt, 3 Psychics to Kingdra after a Dragon Dance and a full restore, then Ice Beam to Dragonite, Thunderbolt to Aerodactyl, and finally Ice Beam to Dragonite number 2 to win the fight. And with that, we've only got one more fight to take care of, replacing Ice Beam with Water Pulse and Recover with Shadow Ball. Probably shouldn't need Recover, but even if I do, I still have 5 Pokemon in the tank. Time to rip poop a new one as Psychic takes out Heracross, Shadow Ball pummels Alakazam, Water Pulse does half the Tyranitar, with Mewtwo taking a crunch for around 2/3, wow, that was a lot more damage than I thought, before the second Water Pulse KOs, leading to Arcanine. Huh. Even with Recover, it seems like we were never soloing this fight, considering I don't expect to one-shot this with Water Pulse. Thankfully, Lapras is able to come in and lay the smack down with 2 Surfs, taking an Overheat but also dodging 1 before KOing. 4 down, 2 to go with Executor coming out 5th, so I swapped into Charizard, dodging a Sleep Powder, which is nice, and burning it down with a critical Flamethrower, leaving just the iconic fight of Charizard versus Blastoise. Who is gonna win? Actually, nobody, because I'm gonna swap into Lapras on Hydro Pump to recover back to around 75% HP thanks to Water Absorb. Thunderbolt's in full effect here, folks, and it takes no prisoners. 2-shotting Blastoise through the Citrus Berry after seeing a Rain Dance and Ice Beam, ending the fight and finishing out my second visit to Kanto with only a Actually, I was gonna say single death, but that's mostly because I forgot about Pidgeotto because it sucked. But I'll probably just chalk up the 5 deaths in FireRed and 2 here to a few whoopsies. And geez, did I really lose over a whole team's worth of Pokemon in the Kanto remakes? I'm really gonna need to tighten up my gameplay going into Emerald, since that death counter is creeping up awfully fast to Season 1's total, and I still have all the Alola games to deal with later down the line, and we know there's gonna be a pile of bodies sitting in the PC by the end of those. But with that, that's FireRed and LeafGreen using only shiny Pokemon. Did you enjoy? Did you also enjoy me going absolutely insane and bonkers during this video? Because, God, FireRed and LeafGreen just took every single wind out of my sails. I don't know why, but the RNG manipulations in this game, I just don't resonate with them. They are not fun. At least in Ruby and Sapphire, it was reasonable. It's like, okay, everything stays on the same seed. You're able to click the A button with a frame-perfect input 1 time. That's easy enough to do. I can do 1 frame linking in Street Fighter 4. Surely I can do it here. But apparently, with the frames being so far apart in FireRed LeafGreen from the seed to the encounter frame advance, it just threw me off. But we're through it. I've done the Professor Oak's challenge, which you can also check out probably on the end card screen right now. And I think I'm pretty much done with both of these games. I'm probably not going to touch them again for a little while. But with that, leave a comment down below, even if it's something as simple as telling me what your favorite shiny I used in this video. I'd very much appreciate it for the algorithm. And for you folks, I hope you stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you next time.